The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. You've probably heard of this book. It's a powerful book. It's actually banned in jails. I actually do some volunteer work at a youth detention center, and I can confirm that it's even banned in the youth detention center. They wouldn't ban a book unless it was really powerful. And I've read this book a bunch of times, and I could tell you with the utmost certainty that the techniques in this book are extremely powerful. And if you learn them, it will help you to avoid being manipulated. And it could also help you to use psychological power over other people. Now, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And the way the universe works, you always get what you give. So if you decide to use it for negativity, sooner or later, it's going to come back to you. But today I'm going to share with you somebody that used law number 3 ruthlessly to cause a lot of damage to somebody else's life. And this is a personal experience that I went through, and I was there for the whole process. Obviously, we can't go over all 48 laws, so today we're just going to go over law number 3. Conceal your intentions. Always hide your true intentions. Create a smokescreen. It will keep people off balance and in the dark so they can't counter your efforts. Story of Conceal Your Intentions. When I started cutting hair back in the day, I started working at the shop. And when you work in a barbershop, you have co-workers that are working in close proximity to you. And so because you guys are right next to each other all day long, you start to see their habits and personality on a deeper level than you would in most other jobs. Because there's not that many jobs where you're in that close proximity with people for such an extended period of time. So during my time, there was this one dude, let's call him Jimmy. And Jimmy rubbed me the wrong way from off the jump. Just never liked this dude. He seemed like he was a snake. And I got that impression from him immediately. Matter of fact, when I was being interviewed for the job, the lady that was interviewing me told me pretty much the entire team was good with me joining. But her choice of words, when she said pretty much, I knew there was one person at least that wasn't with it. And I knew right away it was him. Me and him always had a rocky relationship. During the time, I was there, I tried to keep a positive relationship with this dude. Cause he wasn't a physically dominating person. There's nothing intimidating about him. Matter of fact, I feel if we were to both go in the same room and have to duke it out, I would walk out 99 times out of 100. But where he was really dangerous was how crafty he was. He was very sneaky, and he was always putting on a mask, trying to hide who he really was. Now, because I'm a student of body language and I'm a student of psychology, I was able to see right through him. I saw things about him that other people didn't peep. And I was like, yo, this dude he's on some other stuff, right? So I always knew that there was a side to him that he was trying to carefully mask. And during the time I was there was this one incident in particular that was really crazy to me. The owners were going through some stuff. They have multiple locations. And because they were getting back some of the energy they put out, they poached a bunch of barbershops, barbers. It happened to them. So they lost a lot of barbers back to back. During this time, everybody in the shop wasn't necessarily happy because the owners were not doing really a good job. They weren't taking care of us. They obviously didn't care about us. And they were pretty much treating us like we're nothing. And the entire staff felt like that. And morale was low. Everybody was not really rocking with the place. Once this disaster happened, we witnessed one of the owners start to break out in tears, and it was crazy. When the owner was kind of explaining to us what we're going to do going forward after this giant loss, I looked over at this dude and I could see in his eyes that he was happy about this. He was taking joy out of this. The owner said something about one of the other staff members at a different store. During the meeting, the only person that was on their phone was this guy, Jimmy. And suddenly the dude that the owner mentioned quit immediately. So Jimmy actually was texting dude and letting him know what was being said in the meeting in real time. Then during this time as well, Jimmy was talking while the owners were gone, saying that, yo, we should form a union and we should put them out of business. We should screw them over. We have all the leverage right now. They're losing all their leverage. I was kind of there. I wasn't really feeling what he was saying at all. I thought it was corny. I had a little bit more loyalty to the owners because, first of all, I knew one of the owners before I started working there. And second of all, I planned on being a business owner. So I was looking at it from a business owner's perspective. He was trying to take advantage of the situation. Because I had told the owners before when things were off in the shop. So I would never say any of the employees' names, but if something was off, I would say, yo, the people are talking about this and whatnot. And maybe you should try to fix up in this area because I'm thinking boss mentality, right? I'm thinking I'm like an owner. The owners weren't too smart, so they would always run back and tell the staff that I was telling them stuff. So it made it look like I was a snitch or I was some sort of rat or whatnot. And so now at this point, I'm like, these guys are dumb. I'm not even trying to like rat. I don't mention nobody's name, but I'm looking out for them. But they're so silly that they don't realize it and they keep putting me out there like I'm this person that reports to them. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that no more. And when Jimmy was making all these comments, he was doing it in front of clients. And I just kind of laughed along and played along with it because if I stood in the cut and didn't say anything and I was all serious, if it got back to them, it would look like I told them. I was like, whatever. I was playing along, even though I thought it was distasteful. The next day I get called into the office. The owner accused me of saying the things that Jimmy was saying. And so I was like, damn, like, what the hell? I never said that. I would never say anything so crazy, especially in front of clients, right? She's like, she couldn't tell me who told them, but apparently one of the owner's friends was the client, one of the clients that was there when all this was being said. Now, we know all the clients that are there. We know who's who. I realized right away it was actually Jimmy that went to them and told them that I said this stuff to protect himself. This was such a crafty, little sneaky, weasel-like move. I couldn't believe it, man. But this is the kind of thing that he would do on a regular basis. And I would peep it all the time. I would just see all of his moves. And I think the rest of the staff, they didn't really notice it. They just thought he was a nice guy. But I could tell he was a little bit of a sociopath. I'm leaving the shop now a couple years later. I'm having my exit meeting with one of the owners. You know, she was all concerned that I'm going to poach staff from her, poach clients from her or whatnot, which was kind of flawed thinking because they were my clients. I was an independent contractor, but that's a whole other story. But she was so worried about me doing something nefarious and she wasn't paying any attention to Jimmy. So in her exit meeting, I said, yo, if I was you, I'd keep an eye on Jimmy. And she's like, nah, man, Jimmy's lazy. Jimmy has no intentions of owning a barbershop. He just wants to work and go home. He has no intention of doing anything that takes too much work. I'm like, all right, I'm just giving you a heads up. I think Jimmy is going to hurt you real bad one day because all the signs pointed to him not like he hated them. He hated the owners. He didn't dislike them. The other staff disliked them. He hated them. Like he had like a passionate hate for these people. And he would say it in little micro ways and he wouldn't come out straight up and say it, but you know, it's like when you hear somebody say something over and over again and make it seem like a joke, a lot of times it's not a joke. She's like, she's not worried about him. He's not going to do nothing. A couple years later, Jimmy poached all of the staff from that barbershop and put them out of business. He did an excellent job of fooling everybody else, even though he didn't fool me. He did a great job at concealing his intentions. And he did such a good job at it that this owner, she didn't see it coming. Whereas I saw it coming from miles away. I saw at some point he was going to hurt them and he was going to do something that was going to cause some serious damage to their business because I could just see the things that he said. And he wasn't only saying it in front of me and moving a certain way in front of me. He was doing it in front of everybody, even the owners. But they weren't paying attention because, like I said, he did a great job at concealing his intentions. I'm hyper aware, so I could see things in people that most people can't see. I'm really good at seeing how people move and the words they say and seeing the meaning behind it. So I was able to see his intentions, even though he was doing his best to conceal it. You can really get a massive advantage on people if you learn to conceal your intentions and not just put everything out there that you feel. I'm from Caribbean culture, so in Caribbean culture, you say exactly how you feel. I had to break the habit because that's not a habit of strength. That's a habit of weakness. If you want to have strength in interactions with people, it's better to keep them off balance and keep them in the dark by concealing your intentions. And I learned that lesson in real time from the homie Jimmy. Anyways, I hope you got something valuable from that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.